I'm going to take you through some of my personal experiences first so that uh, I could share my heart with you, and I would like to hear from you people as well. Because this is how we believe that every learning experience has to be experiential. So instead of just being passive listener here, I want audience which is going to participate and contribute, because I can see people with different ages, with different academic and professional backgrounds. So this collective knowledge should come on the surface. So get ready for that. So starting from my own personal experience, I'm going to share this one episode of my life, the most important episode. It was back in December 2006, and I'm going through the most difficult and challenging phase of my life. The greatest fear, that fear which everyone is scared and afraid of, the biggest fear of everyone's life, the fear of death, the fear of leaving this world, the fear that I'm not going to see tomorrow morning. So I got diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma just 3 months back, which was in September 2006, which is a very rare kind of cancer. And I was very lucky, I must say, that it was on the very early stage of diagnosis. So I got this whole plan that, you have to go through chemotherapy and radiotherapy and all that painful treatment, and that's your way forward. That's how you would survive. So with that thinking, very first day when I got this news, when I got this report that I'm diagnosed with cancer, being an adventure enthusiast and being a leadership trainer myself, you know what I did? The first thing, I said, yes, now I'm going to get a fight. So I'll see how I'm going to overcome this thing. So that was my kind of natural response. And the second thing which I did, I decided that I'm not going to tell this whole thing to my family. I'll give it a fight myself. And one fine morning when I'm recovered, I'll wake up and I'll call my family. I'll say, hey, you know what? I had been diagnosed with cancer and now I'm totally fine. I'm absolutely recovered. So I can see smile on your faces, seeing that how ridiculous my thinking was that time. Yes, it was. The very first cycle of chemo taught me that no, you can't fight it alone. And I had to call my family, I had to tell them this is going through in my life. And that moment, when I reflect back to, what was that feeling inside me that I'm going to give it a solo fight? Why I'm not bringing my family along? Because I thought that I'm going to show my weakness. Why I should show my weakness to anyone? Why I should express my vulnerability? Why I should put my burden on others' minds and shoulders? So that was my original feeling. But you know what? When that family came in with the full support, it never happened that in the entire phase of going through that treatment, that no one discussed about this disease in front of me. Yeah, they used to do their own crying and everything in the other room, but in front of me all the time, they were supportive, they were laughing, they were cheering, and they were making sure that, we are just positive, we are just happy. Then I realized that, being vulnerable and being expressive about your weaknesses, it's not being brave. It is the real life. This is being real yourself, being true to yourself. And then there was another moment, my dad was not in Pakistan, he was stuck in business abroad, and he was unable to come and see me in that condition. So after a few months, when he landed in Lahore airport, I went there to receive him, and that was the first time in that whole treatment, when I hugged him, when I put my head on his shoulder, I started crying. And I cried for like more than 5 minutes. It felt like ages. And all the people on the airport and my family, they're looking at me, and I'm just crying and crying and crying. Because that was the first moment where I got my emotional outburst. Because I was trying to hold myself. Again, the same feeling that, why I should cry? I'm a man should not cry. So then I realized that that moment of crying on the shoulder of my father was the most relieving moment of my life. So it's not being bold, it's not being brave. So the brave is being express yourself, being true to yourself. So that is the whole context which I take it forward, and Alhamdulillah, you can see that after 10 years I'm standing in front of you, which is a sign that I survived. And not just only, thank you very much. Life took me to the next level of being thriving and moving to those levels which I have never thought, never imagined that I'm going to achieve in this my life. It was amazing journey. The lowest moment of my life turned the whole life to be the greatest days and greatest years and greatest moments. And I'm so much grateful that, you know, I have been gifted as the best thing in my life in the form of a disease called cancer. Because this was that moment which shifted my whole focus of life. I was working successfully as a corporate leadership trainer. I was aiming to become the best of the best of the best, having everything with me, all that fame and glamour and everything. So that whole new life helped me shift my focus working with young people. So along with my co-founders, we came up with this idea of establishing a not-for-profit called Youth Impact. As Nida was saying there, that in last 5 years, without any funding, without any major resources, we were able to touch and train 20,000 young lives in Pakistan from Gwadar to Gilgit. So this was kind of a miracle for us that we never thought that we are going to achieve this thing. So that credit goes to that December 2006 night. Thank you very much. This life took me beyond Pakistan, and I had been able to travel to different countries, and I had been able to work with young people in 5 continents in the world, helping them discover their true potential, helping them fight their own type of emotional, psychological, social cancers, not just the physical one. So that was the journey which that was the whole life, that was the whole kick which I got from that night of December 2006. And that took me to National Outdoor Leadership School, where I became the first ever Pakistani leadership fellow, and took me to Stanford being a leadership fellow, and so many things that happened in the last 5 years. So now when I reflect back that, where did I get all that momentum? The moment when I started expressing myself. It was not that surviving against cancer. These were those small moments where I felt that my family, my father, my sister, my siblings, they are going to be my support. So their profound connection and support is going to help me move forward to the next level. So fear, the fear of death, fear of unknown, that uncertainty, that converted into that courage to live a life which is not just limited to your own self, to live a life which is going to impact thousands of other lives. So I'm grateful for whatever I have got in my life. So here I am. This is what I have done. I've gone through, because I have not done, because this was a divine plan. I had to I had to be taken through this whole process. And I want to explore, I want to listen from you people as well. What kind of personalities come to your mind when you think about courage? Can you name any figure in Pakistan, across the globe, who you think, when you think about courage, this first person comes to your mind? So Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Abdul Sattaridi, excellent, amazing. Qaid-e-Azam. Muniba Mazari. Stephen Hawking. Anyone else? What comes to your mind when you think about courage? Nelson Mandela. Amazing. Is there anyone who watches Man vs. Wild? Yeah. So, there are so many amazing people on this world who define courage to the people. And that's where we inspire ourselves with this whole concept of courage. Do you get any roles of courage? Not just people, the roles. What kind of roles where the courage is required at the most? For example, any climber, I'm going to take you, any climber who's going to climb K2 mountains. So a climber needs a lot of courage, right? So is there any other role where you need courage? being a leader in any position, in any role. Excellent.
Yeah, when we paddle cycling and we are climbing Mount Munal,
Yeah.
so you need courage.
So uphill mountain biking, that needs a lot of courage.
Speaking in public.
Speaking in public.
Being yourself.
Being yourself. Being true to yourself. So by celebrity, celebrating your failure. So, you know, these are different moments, and there's a whole spectrum of courage. On one side, we see people who climb K2 mountain. On the other side, I also consider it as a strong act of courage by a little kid coming to me and telling me that, you know, put this mic on the other side. That needs a lot of courage. Where is that little beautiful girl? So, I mean, so there's no comparison. We should admit that this is also courage. A little kid asking the parents that I need ice cream. That needs to, you know, that courage to stepping up from your current state of your mind and your position. Yes, please.
I think courage is needed for everyone when he or she feels inadequate,
Yeah.
or fears something from doing, or fear of he has the fear of rejection.
Right.
That point of life, or in wherever he or she is, that is the
Whatever position, that's very right. So, you know, it's everywhere. And I want to shift a little bit more to the other dimension, because when we talk about Abdul Sattar Edhi or Stephen Hawking or Bear Grylls or Nelson Mandela, or the people who climb mountains, or the firefighter who jumps into the middle of fire. So these are some amazing heroic acts, and this is how we derive our definition of courage. And this is where we do the mistake, because this is where we start underestimating our own act of courage. We think that I'm not a brave person. That is brave. He has courage. She has courage. I don't have. So that's where, ladies and gentlemen, my submission is that what will we call to a person who will go to her spouse during an argument, steps down from his position of ego? That's courage. What about a person who says sorry in front of his colleagues? That needs courage. What about a person who says no when he's pushed to say yes against his own desires? What about standing up in front of your boss and saying that she's wrong? I mean, all these small deeds and acts, we also bring them in count, that it's also courage. It's not just, you know, everyone cannot be a climber, everyone cannot be a Nelson Mandela, but everyone can have a courage in those moments. Someone said that, you know, overcoming your fear of speaking in front of public. An introvert, because generally a lot of creative minds, they focus on their machine, they focus on their canvas, and they become introverts. An introvert standing in front of hundreds and thousands of people asking a question to a speaker, don't you think that needs a courage? Is there anyone who has this stage fright? You were the first one. I'm going to take this lady. Can you please come over here?
I always have and I always feel it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So, before I talk to her, there's a big round of applause for a gentleman on the last row. Can you raise your hand? Yeah. You know why? It also needs courage to raise your hand, to be the first person to raise your hand. When you're thinking, you're struggling, there's a fight going on within, should I raise? Oh, no, it's not my moment. So when you raise hand like this, it shows your courage. So may I ask your name?
Sadia.
Sadia. So Sadia, I want to ask you about your last moment where you had this stage fright or your public speaking fear. Where was that?
Just last week I had to give a presentation.
Oh, hold on. Do you have a mic? So, take a minute and tell us about that moment. What was it? How did you feel? What was that thing that made you fright? Talk to them, not me.
Well, it's a constant. Is this one?
Yeah,
It's a constant.
get it closer.
Well, last week I had to give a presentation. It's not something that I had since I was a child, but it's something new. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
So every time there's a presentation to give, even though I've prepared, there's just something in me that tells me that something's wrong.
Okay. So what happened? What exactly happened over there?
Well, nothing happened. I gave my presentation, but my voice was shaking.
Your voice was shaking. So that was what happened, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anyone who felt the same thing?
To speak to men.
Okay.
Okay, no. Okay.
All right, so we'll find it out after this session. We are going to help her. So, just quick thing, Sadia, like everything matters before coming to when you're going to present. The most important thing is your content, what you're going to present. If you don't have the grip and control on your cognitive side, the knowledge, that's where your confidence is going to shake. Hopefully you have done good homework on that, and then it comes your whole body. I mean, just maybe take some water before coming there, or maybe do some breathing. So maybe, can we do it here all together? So, inhale from your nostrils, hold it for 6 seconds. It's a bit tough. And then exhale from your mouth. Let's do it together. 1, 2, 3. So, before coming on the stage, just do it 2-3 times. Your heartbeat will be in control, your body will be composed, your shaky voice will be much better, and drink little bit of water, not too much. And then here comes your body language. When you came over here, you were standing like this, and then this, and then this, and your hands were like this. So this is what you need to practice in front of mirror. So I mean, these are just small things. Stand still and balanced, grounded, well grounded. And then don't use a lot of body language. Don't be like this. Don't put your hands in the pocket, not on the back, just in the center. So these are small tricks. If you just practice, you will become an awesome person. So please, big round of applause for her this lady. Thank you very much. Please be seated. So, yeah, being the only female in the class or in the crowd, that needs a lot of courage to stand up. Or being the only male, this is otherwise, because these days in universities when I go, it's the opposite to it. So yesterday I was in Bahria University, Karachi, so I was asking my host that, is it just me being male that I can just see females all over, or statistically it's the numbers? They said it's 90% females studying here. So yeah, that needs a lot of courage. And most of young people are in the age where you're going to propose someone. Awesome. I mean, that's where the major, goosebumps come in your life. So maybe next time we can have this whole practice thing over here. So, a lot of people say that courage is defined as an ability to overcome your fears. So I don't agree with that, because that's a reactive thing. So courage is within yourself. It is being true to yourself. Being true to yourself. That's what I had experienced in my life. That, instead of faking, instead of, pretending that, you are brave, you are amazing, so you don't have to expose yourself, being true to yourself. I mean, that's an act of courage. Courage is the ability to do the right things, despite of what consequences you are going to face. That's courage. Courage is showing your vulnerability. Human beings are vulnerable. They are weak. They are fragile. And everyone knows that. Someone came over here on the stage, so no one is going to judge, or no one is going to, take these things back, because we are here to support each other. So find your support network, your family, your colleagues, your co-workers, your like-minded people, and go and express yourself. This is what I'm recently experiencing, because I'm continuously going through this cycle of my life, and I realize that when you expose yourself, your vulnerability, there's nothing profound and nothing stronger like that. So this is something which Jeff Haddon, a guy I liked. I want to read it because I don't generally read slides like this. When you think of courage, you may think of physical bravery, but there are many other forms of courage. After all, courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. That means courage, sometimes remarkable courage, is required in your daily life. Taking a chance when others will not. Following your passion, no matter where it takes you. Standing up for what you believe in, especially when your beliefs are unpopular. Or simply doing the right things. You may be surprised by how many of the qualities of remarkably courageous people you see in your life. So it's not just the acts of bravery, these small moments, small things. So I've got these some practical courage hacks, and let's see, let's explore, let's practice. So this is where, if you could just keep trying those things, maybe we can just improve 1% or 2%. So no big leaps, no big jumps, no need to become climber of Keto. Start from one step at a time. So what I say that, when was the last time you did something for the first time? May I repeat? When was the last time you did something for the first time?
2 years before I did paragliding first.
So 2 years.
No, just 2 weeks ago I did skiing.
Skiing for the first time.
First time.
So here we have someone. Yeah. Yes, please. So you came here for the first time. So today is your first, last time when you did something for the first time. Excellent. Yes, please. You have to? Hold a meeting? For the first time. Excellent. So I'm just giving you this lead. You know why this is important? Because when you're doing something for the first time, this is where your fears come in, where you have options, your possibilities of success or failure. It's an unknown. You're getting out of your comfort zone. So, when we are a child, we do a lot of first ever things. But when we grow up like 20 plus, we stop doing because we become part of routine. And that's where I'm recommending that, find out something, maybe learn some new language, maybe visit some new place, or maybe connect with someone you're really scared of, or maybe in an event like this. So plan something that, I'm going to talk to these many people. So doing first ever in your life. And then the second hack is, admit that we are weak. And admit there is a greater power who is controlling, who is managing this whole world, and submit yourself to that great power. That gives you a lot of courage. That, I can do my best, that's it. So results are not in my control. I can manage the process. So do your best and then submit to a greater power. So that gives you a lot of courage. No big dreams. Start small. Even for big dreams, if you don't start small, a few years back you will be frustrated and you will be disappointed by yourself. So small things, like what you can do today, anything, any small act which you can do, apply today in this setting. Anything. Make a new connection, excellent. Or maybe going back to that cafeteria where we had tea, I could see a lot of wrappers and everything scattered around. So someone just bring that courage to collect together. It's not your responsibility, but do something which, makes you vulnerable in front of other people and makes you doing something good. Small acts, small things, no big rocket science. Have a sports, have a physical activity. Especially for those who are sitting on computers or more into that creative work, it's very important that your blood circulation is something that gives you more momentum and courage. So have something which makes your blood pump, and you take some time on the daily routine to get out of your fears. Gamify your fears. You should identify what is stopping you, how you gamify your fears. For example, you are scared of going and talking to strangers. You are attending a conference, there are 200 people. So gamify your fear that today my challenge is going and talking and introducing myself to 50 strangers. You go and talk to one person, checked. Second person, checked. Third person, checked. It's a game. So play it, celebrate it, and if 50 is achieved, go and treat yourself with chocolate ice cream or something, with a lot of sugar. So,
Or put a status on Facebook.
yeah, or put a status on. That doesn't need that achievement. It goes in anyway. So just gamify, make it exciting, make it travel solo. So that makes you independent. That makes you identify your fears, talking to strangers, finding your ways, talking different languages. A few months back, I was couch surfing. Yeah, couch surfing is an amazing tool to build that courage. So I was couch surfing in Istanbul, and I was hosted by this Turkish guy who didn't understand or speak English at all, and I couldn't understand or speak Turkish at all, and I spent 2 nights with him. So the only communication was on Google Translator. So in order to make him a cup of tea for me, it took almost 30 minutes because we were just communicating how much sugar. That was amazing. And since my core competence had been into leadership training, so I decided that instead of just working with business leaders, I should work with youth leaders. So what we do, we work across all socio-economic classes in Pakistan, and we have a whole range of different programs. The broad context is that we develop purposeful, character-based young leaders. Purposeful, character-based young leaders. Because I believe that in Maslow's hierarchy, on the bottom we have physiological needs. On the top is self-actualization. In our society, our problem is not roti kapda makan. If the leadership stays same, these problems will be there after 100 years, no matter how much funding comes into this society. So if you bring change up on the top, so that's where we are focusing, that maybe 10 years down the road, we have envisioned a picture that by 2028, in politics, in education, in academia, in business, in all segments of life, there will be people who are purposeful, who are character-based, who are leaders. They are the people who are going to change. So that's the broad context. So maybe we can have more conversation if you're interested in more about that.
What kind of trainings, I mean, how long?
There's a whole range. We are more into customization, so we do a 2-hour session or 20-minute session to a 10 days program. But generally, if you're familiar with this concept, Markhor is the national animal of Pakistan. So we have designed a youth leadership conference, which is a 5 days conference up in the mountains. It includes camping and hiking. So we bring leaders from the society. So through adventure, through experiential learning, in 5 days, we inspire these young leaders to do something for society. So this is the broad idea, right? So please. Thank you very much.
Hi. You talked about one of your hacks in the 7 current hacks was submitting to a greater power, right?
Yeah.
Now, being a huge control freak myself, right, I can't really accept the fact that things are like, I like having control of things around me, right?
Right.
So how do you differentiate between the fact that this is something that's like you put your heart and soul into something, right, and it doesn't work out?
Right.
So how do you decide that this was someone else's decision, or I could have done something more?
Yeah.
To be
I would put it in a way that it needs a mind shift. Being a control freak, if you think that, if I ask this person to do this work and he or she is not going to do the best, so I need to have a control and I have to pull the strings. This is a mindset where I'm focused or interested in the goal, in the task. While being leaders, our responsibility is also to develop people. So it is maintaining a balance between task and people development. So it's not just task. So your job, being a leader, being a manager, is not just task. So get into that thinking that you are also responsible to develop people. If you do not empower them, if you do not coach them, if you do not counsel them, if you do not provide them space, so they're not going to be developed. So have you heard about this old banyan tree, the wise tree, Bargat ka darakht? So this is amazing, huge tree which provides you amazing shade and shadow. You feel a lot of comfort under that tree. Now what happens? That tree doesn't allow to grow other trees underneath, because it doesn't allow to those plants or trees get sunlight, because it's just covering them. So that's a challenge. We need to have lot of plants growing in this society. So the people, those who are like that Bargat ka darakht, they need to maybe cut their branches or share their part. So that needs a mind shift. Yeah. Yes, over here, and then I'll come to you. last person, please.
You mentioned all of the things in your presentation which are mostly linked to self-transcendence.
Right.
Self-transcendence, it says submit to a higher authority, accept humility, and all of that.
Yeah.
So how would you differentiate between self-transcendence and courage? And also, where do you see yourself on the Maslow hierarchy? Are you self-actualized?
Alhamdulillah. Because I said that, when I'm answering your second part first, when I say that I have got this gift which helped me 5 years back shift my focus of life, I believe I'm at the moment, I'm grateful that I'm at a moment where आज भी अगर मुझे बुला लिया जाए ना, तो मैं समझता हूँ कि I have done my job, I have done my purpose, so Alhamdulillah. The first part, self-transcendence, I didn't use this term, so I'm not going to explain anything about it because I have no idea what is it. I mean, maybe we can talk it later on. So I can't compare it with courage, but courage is, as we saw in the beginning, that it is an act of heart. So when you keep thinking, when you keep calculating, so you will not be able to do it. That's where all these leaders, warriors, they use the emotional energy to bring the courage to fight against an enemy where you see death. लेकिन फिर वो जैसे इकबाल कहते हैं ना कि लीडर वही होता है कि जो मौत के आईने में तुझको दिखा के रुखे दोस्त जिंदगी तेरे लिए और भी दुश्वार करे. So yeah, maybe I'm not going to touch on that first part, right? Thank you.